It's the final part of the Inclusive Classroom Back to School Challenge video series. I can't believe it. It's been amazing so far and I'm blown away by all your ideas. And I hope you've been putting your ideas and plans into practice and that the school year has got off to a great start. I'm also really happy with the way you've contributed to the conversation here in the comments section. It's wonderful to see how you inspire each other. And that's a great segue into today's topic, community. Community is the third of the 4 values and it's one of the most important ones, along with well-being. Of course, community contributes hugely to well-being. If there isn't a sense of community in the classroom, the atmosphere won't be a happy one. That's why I always make sure I have a community on the teacher development courses that I run. A good group can create a really positive experience for all involved. And one thing I love about working with teachers is that everyone is so willing to share ideas and offer each other support. Community is essential, but it's not always something that happens naturally. We need to work at building it. And the first few weeks back are perfect for this. For older children and teenagers, the classroom can be quite a scary place, especially if it's a new class and they don't know each other. There's a lot of pressure all round. Pressure to fit in, to impress the teacher, maybe not so important, and the pressure to not look stupid in front of your peers. Students may be lacking in confidence after a summer of not speaking English, and this can lead to a class where students are reluctant to speak or participate. For this reason, it's essential to break down these boundaries, build trust, and help students get to know each other. And of course, it's also important that you get to know your students and they get to know you. I see lots of teachers doing team building activities and these can be really useful and fun. However, I suggest not only doing these in the first week, but to use them regularly throughout the year. We also need to make sure that collaborative work is a part of the normal lesson routine if we want students to work well together. You may not know your students very well at the beginning of the school year, so it can take time for you to think about how best to group them. So try different groupings and see how they work together. It's also important that you are a part of the classroom community and that you develop your own connection with the children. You need to be someone they can trust. You need to be accepting of the differences among your learners. You need to listen to them and value them. And remember that you're the model. So you need to show that you are open-minded and patient with others if you expect your students to be the same. I want to focus on the values again here. First of all, belonging. A healthy community is what makes someone feel that they belong there. Everything that we've looked at during the challenge contributes towards the feeling of belonging. But the way students feel about their classmates and you, their teacher, will play a huge part. The next value is adapting or adaptability. For a classroom community to thrive, we need to observe and listen and make changes to our strategy when necessary. It's important to have a set of classroom rules or a contract so that students know where the boundaries are, but it can be adapted during the year if necessary. This will likely mean adding to it, but it's worth discussing these rules from time to time with students to see whether or not they're working. If you know me, you'll probably know that I'm a big fan of encouraging children to take responsibility and be part of the decision-making process. I know it can be hard to let the students choose the rules, and of course we can't just let them choose any old rule, but if we ask the right questions and, if necessary, explain why something isn't appropriate, you'd be surprised at how sensible children can actually be. Adaptability isn't just for classroom management, of course. Adapting activities and materials, or even procedures when they don't work, can all help with a sense of belonging. The third value is community, and this is what we're talking about today, so I won't go into more detail about it. And the fourth one is kindness. Kindness is what it all boils down to, really. If students are kind to each other, there is a community. For younger children, we may need to model acts of kindness, although even very young children tend to know how to be kind. With primary children, especially 8 years and upwards, it can be helpful to have kindness tools. For example, a kindness jar or bucket, which is gradually filled as acts of kindness take place. Or a shout-out wall where students add positive things that they've noticed about their classmates, or compliments, or even having students send postcards or notes to each other with positive comments. Today's task is about community, but it's also about the whole of the challenge and the 4 values. In the first part, I'd like you to share one activity you've used which works well to build community. It could be an icebreaker or a team building activity, or it could be some kind of routine. Then I'd like you to choose a new activity that you'd like to try this year. It could be something that somebody else has shared or an idea that you found online. In part 2, I want you to write the 4 back-to-school values on a piece of paper, and for each one, write a list of ideas or strategies that you've come across during the challenge. The final task is to choose 3 to 5 ideas that you want to implement for the rest of the school year. Then share these ideas in the comment section below. As this is the last video in the series, I haven't quite finished yet. We've covered a lot this month: how to set up your classroom, systems and routines, learner well-being and social and emotional learning, and inclusive materials and building community. But this is really just the start. There's much more involved in an inclusive classroom, and it's an ongoing process where we're continually learning and improving. Something we haven't really touched upon in this challenge is our teaching approach. Personally, I find that a lot of what we do in traditional ELT classrooms is not so inclusive. We've already talked about how offering choice can help, and that's a great start. But I think we can do more than that and consider taking a more learner-centered approach. I also think that we need to prepare the children in our classes for their future, and the way we teach doesn't necessarily do that. For me, inclusion means making sure our lessons cater for all learners and their needs. It means ensuring that all children have the same opportunities to learn. It means creating the right conditions in which all learners can thrive. And it means providing a safe space for everyone to learn in. And I think that flexible learner-centered approaches are the best way to do this. And that's why I created my course, Inclusive Approaches for Primary Teachers. It's a 6-week course, and it looks at alternative approaches such as project and inquiry-based learning and how we can adapt a standard curriculum to such approaches. We also go into more detail about social and emotional learning and well-being, and we also explore engagement and motivation. Inclusion isn't something that can be learnt in a couple of hours, and so if you're serious about making change in your classroom and with your teaching approach, I'd encourage you to consider joining the course. You can find out more information about the course on my website, but now there's something that I want to remind you of. One of you, if you're still watching, will win a free place on this very course. The prize will go to somebody who's been really engaging with the tasks in the challenge and contributing to the discussion in the comments section. If you're this person, I know you'll make the most out of your free place on the course. You still have the weekend to catch up if necessary, because I'll be selecting the winner on Monday at 6 p.m. CEST, so make sure you add your contributions before then to be in with a chance. Once again, I want to say thank you for joining me in this challenge. I hope you found it useful and that you have lots of new ideas to try out in your classrooms. If you've liked this video series, why not check out some of my other videos? And don't forget, if you haven't yet done so, like and subscribe.